May the 30th, 2026. Guys, Saturday. Can you believe we're almost into June? Think about that. Hurricane season starting, and we're starting to see a little bit of tropical development. But what I want to focus on in this video, guys, is how this weather is going to affect the U.S. this season, especially in the desert Southwest, because, again, I'm calling that the center of where all of this disaster is about to begin. And if you look at the daily records, guys, tomorrow night we're going to be below 250 into 249 by Monday morning. Things are going to start changing. But I want to look at it just from the predicted weather patterns, the predicted temperatures, and what we have already seen so far this year. And it looks like we're going to break a lot of records. And that's not a good deal because we're dealing with not drought, but aridification, to where you don't, when you deal with that, when it changes from drought to aridification, guys, you're no longer hoping and depending on next year it raining and the next year building back up. It's a cycle. And that's very important. What it's going to lead to, guys, is, except for a few people that are paying very close attention, and all of us can be caught off guard, right? Here's the situation. And I'm going to read you the weather information, both the spring, what's coming in the summer and fall, in just a moment. But when we see this system start to collapse, and right now they're saying both Powell and Lake Mead could go down this year as far as power output and water output, guys, it's a national catastrophe. And what you'll see, now pay attention, in 2 or 3 days after, say, Mead and Powell go down and water shortages start to pile up and electricity starts to go down, things like that, people will begin to change. Your best friends, after 3 or 4 days of watching their kids go without something, they will change their attitude toward you. Now, that's a natural human response. There's nothing we can do about that, right? Other than prepare secretly and not be in a big crowd. But here is the ultimate outcome in the not too distant future. Say you had a power outage and water outage all at the same time. We talked about this. The military will have to move in and allocate water supplies, food supplies, until the point that they run out of the handouts. Now, of course, they've got backup back at the whatever base they're operating from, and they will retreat to that, and they will allow the Mad Max situation to continue on the outside until the outside has destroyed itself, and then they will reemerge as the new world order. Do you understand what I'm talking about? But the important part is, how would we deal with this Mad Max situation? Imagine 40 million people down through the basin there, no water, no power. And most people are living on a 2 or 3 day, 4 day grocery resupply schedule, because that's how the stores do it. That's how Walmart and the big Krogers, everything does that. But when that stops, because you're not pumping diesel because the pumps are electric, and things like that, guys, the mentality changes. What we're going to see, and it appears dystopian, totally like the worst end times movie, Mad Max Plus, that you could think of. Now, so everybody's realizing, let's just kind of look at it. Bear with me a moment. 3 or 4 days where the power's down, water's down, supplies are down, and the people say, that's enough. I've got to get out of Vegas, or I've got to get out of Phoenix, or wherever it's at. I've got to get out of here. More than likely, people are not going to move west. They'll move south, or they'll move east, which is a temporary reprieve, by the way. But what's going to happen, guys, you're on the highway. You got stuff loaded up in your van, your truck, whatever it is, and the power's going out. The grids are starting to collapse, and that's how that happens when you're dealing with what we're about to look at as far as a record-breaking year of heat in the Southwest. You're going to realize how fast this can happen. So you get down, say and I've been to Phoenix 10 times probably, got kids, grandkids. I know New Mexico, and I know Arizona pretty well. But say you're moving east, you leave Phoenix, you're getting down to close to the New Mexico border down in there. And so you got to pull over, get gas, and the gas pumps aren't working right then because that power grid is collapsing behind you as you move. They can't take anything. They can't pump it. They don't have the power. They can't process a credit card. And so, well, what do? Maybe you got a quarter tank left. So I'll go on down, try to make another 20, 30 miles headed east down the interstate. Headed to El Paso, who knows, right? Anyway, vehicle runs out of gas, along with hundreds of thousands of other people that the same thing just happened to. Now, you think about and we've always talked about movies and books that predicted this and how they knew it and what was going on. But you look at the situation with what we've seen in the last, dozen, maybe 15 years of the zombie movies. You had the series, I can't remember the names now, and the different movies about this. But it shows people walking slowly down the sides of the highway. Maybe some are pushing a shopping cart with a kid in it and a couple of blankets, maybe a half gallon of water. Their car's out of gas. They really don't have anywhere to go, but if they decide to just stop right there in the desert situation, they know they die. So they wander endlessly in the direction, barely hanging on. Guys, do you realize how close we are to that point? And if you don't, you're sadly mistaken, because man cannot stop what's about to happen. Trump can't do it. The federal government can't do it. Nobody can do it. If our Father in heaven decides to, that would be the only way too. But he's tired of what he's been seeing. And he's going to let his Mother Nature situation set this planet back into an equilibrium that it has been taken out of way before the dams, by the way. Way before the dams, after the last Catabo, as a matter of fact. But this rebalancing, guys, is going to bring back this tribulation of man and the tribulation of man by man. And so, again, you'll see the military move in. You're going to see them hand out what they can. But at the same time, guys, you realize that the government knows what is happening right now and that they are building external bases and command posts throughout the Southwest, so that they can not only have supply depots, but a place to back into and let the Mad Max situation settle itself. Because they don't have a choice. You don't have enough military, you don't have enough water, you don't have enough food. Because of greed and stupidity that's been piled up over decades. Now, so as people look, now think about this. We're in the heat of the summer, right? We're about to be. What happens after that? We're going to see the power will be pretty much gone for the Southwest under the predicted outcomes. And you're going to see cold weather start to set in the mountains. You're going to see cold weather start into the big cities, New York, Minnesota, Chicago. And when the grid starts to fall, guys, it's all interconnected. It will all fall in one small hack from a nation that does not like the U.S. or someone inside that has an alternative agenda. One small switch could change everything, from power grid staying up or going down in a chain reaction to the gates at Meade. Now, so we got winter setting in with no power. Imagine this scene, guys. You're in New York, say Chicago, wherever. It's getting dark. There's no street lights. There's no lights in the big skyscrapers. There's just a sunset and these ghostly images of freezing, frozen buildings with people in them that are dying, especially the elderly, because they cannot get out and help themselves. And it will become so overwhelming at the mass amount of people that people will just walk away It will be like ancient tombs. And that's what we're looking at, guys. This is not survivable. There's no amount of anything the feds can do to change what we're looking at. You know, I hate to be so serious about it and to be kind of continuous in the story about what we're talking about and in the history that we have seen and about what we're about to go through, guys. This is not a good situation. There's no easy way out. If you think I'm preaching, you're damn right I am, because some of you are listening. Now, you better get it together and you better decide what you're going to do. Let's look at this information. It says predicted high temps for the southwestern U.S. this year forecast to be well above average. It's already hot enough, guys, but well above average with triple-digit heat dominating. The NOAA Climate Prediction Center seasonal outlook and AccuWeather summer forecast both anticipate widespread above normal heat for the region. So do you think without water and with the grid under 24/7 heat factor because of the data centers with aging transformers that there's going to be a grid? And guys, people talk about civilization. Do you know that the current civilization that we live in that keeps neighbors is the grid? Do you understand what I'm saying? When you lose your air conditioning, your food is spoiling in the refrigerator or the freezer, and maybe your neighbor's got a generator, who knows, whatever's happening. But guys, this changes everything very quickly, and that's what we're building into. Now, I know, and I see it in the comments that people say, BP, this is doom. You're talking about all doom. Guys, I'm not a watchman to talk about Mardi Gras, okay? Or a birthday party. That's not what I do. It says the desert Southwest, Phoenix, Las Vegas, expected to see over 180 days. That's half of the year almost, at 90 degrees plus. Daily highs will consistently range from 100 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit through midsummer. Possibly no rain. Now, this is not the heat index. This is Fahrenheit. Southern California to the Four Corners, highs will vary heavily, by elevation. Of course it is. I've been in Payson when it was nice, and I've been in Phoenix when it was unbearable easy. I don't even know why they said that. But average temperatures are projected to be warmer than normal, with potentially more intense, record-breaking heat waves late in August. Now, August is one of the deadline dates possibly for both Meade and Lake Powell. Mother Nature, when she gets ready to create a war, it's from every direction, and she's not letting up. And guys, I understand. This is our Father in heaven. That's just rhetoric, right? Hang in there and don't be a Karen on me. Anyway, the monsoon season from July through September will bring elevated chances of both average temperatures and above normal rainfall, which will occasionally spike humidity. And that's about all you're going to get. I've showed you the satellite images of the heat dome building over the southwest and the complete collapse of the 20-mile high belt that makes it change. It's not changing right now. So the monsoon season from July through September again will bring elevated chances of both above average temps, above normal rainfall, which will occasionally spike humidity. That may be happening, but guys, when you're dealing with aridification and you get a little bit of rainfall, it never makes it down to the river. The parched soil soaks it up before it ever hits there. You have just enough to increase the humidity to make it that much more unbearable. I've said this before. I've been in Mississippi most of my life. The summers, when you're dealing with 110, 115, I've seen mine heat index hit over 130 here. It's almost unbearable with the humidity. I've also been in Phoenix, Arizona in August. It's different. It's a blast furnace. You get out of the car and you try to find some air conditioning, like running from a thunderstorm or running from a cold weather event. It's not like let's walk in here and get out of the heat. No, you're trying to escape it. I've been there, done that. The grid under 24/7 strain from the data centers will not handle this. 3-year backup on transformers for the grid. Guys, the situation and the scenario that I'm explaining to you is the very beginning of it. Just as what you've seen in books or in movies, you got, the initial wave of deaths for people that weren't prepared and the elderly people that can no longer get diabetes medicine. You can't get insulin. And the impact on the human race when you see your family starve or can't get the medicine, it changes the human psyche. And that changes everything. But again, guys, when you don't have the grid, you do not have civilization. Not the grid's fault, but it's the human nature fault because we have been spoiled in the last 100 years. Back in the day, people traveled to the West in a wagon train. You had drought. You had Native Americans that weren't happy about you trespassing on their property and things like that. It's different now. People rely on walking in their home, turning on the air conditioner, hitting that water valve, getting a shower. When that's over, it's migration time, and I've mentioned that, right? But we haven't went into detail how that migratory pattern will happen. And if you can't get gas, how far are you going to take your family? Pushing a shopping cart down that desert interstate. Is that what you're waiting for? Now listen, I'm not picking on the people in the Southwest because this is going to spread throughout every nation on the planet. It's our Father's time to step in, not with water, but with fire this time. Burning those elements. It's coming, and we have been told, and many of you have bragged about, maybe not bragged about it, but thought about it and talked about it. This is the last generation. Well, are you prepared to be in this last generation? I'm asking you because you have no choice. Now it's going to be survival of the fittest. I'm a little wound up about it because I see what's coming. Survival of the fittest means you're not going to be on that interstate traffic or walking down that interstate or the back roads or wherever you're at with thousands of people looking at you, seeing if you've got anything they need. They'll slit your throat and take it. Gangs will form just like the Mad Max scenario because a gang usually is a group of cowards. They won't fight you on their own, but you get a big group of certain people together and they become bullies and tyrants, just like Antifa. That's going to happen. So you don't want to be out in the open. Right now, the survivors are going to be the ones that understand what I'm talking about and probably, just like I've been doing for half of my life, preparing for this. But the ones that don't care about anything but the Super Bowl and this and that, they're going to be walking down that interstate, pushing that shopping cart, begging for something to drink as they watch the eyes of their children as they starve to death. That is how far deep this is coming. This is the tribulation of man before the wrath of God. I didn't mean to preach, guys, but it's in me now, so just hang on. It says, this year's weather patterns have already broken major record. The upcoming summer forecast threatens several more, and this is coming from the Climate Adaptation Center, guys. They're paid to look at this information. What have I been talking about? Migrate, adapt, or die. This has been the warmest March, going back a couple months, in history. An extraordinary slow-moving heat dome in March crushed temperature records across Arizona, California, Nevada, New Mexico, and Utah. National March high record. Here we are, guys. The Southwest officially shattered the all-time U.S. daily high temperature record for March with a reading of 112 degrees Fahrenheit in the Arizona desert. That's not heat index. That's not real feel. In March, Do you understand? And when I show you in the last few videos at 20 miles high above the earth, that entire band has collapsed, the world is changing. Our Father is changing it just like he did in the days of Noah. And people in the days of Noah were warned. Most ignored it. And guys, I realize the problems involved with this. To try to survive or try to move or adapt or migrate is, first of all, of course, it's expensive. But you know something? Our Father always provides a way. I've seen it in the past, even in my life, when things looked like they were really tough. Because you hunkered down, you didn't give up. You found a way to survive. You made it, and now you're still here. You're going to have to go back to that mentality. Now, we've also broken records in the triple-digit range this year. Cities like Phoenix reached triple digits months ahead of schedule, obliterating previous early season climate markers. Forecasters track whether major desert hubs will approach or break the record of consecutive days over 100 to 110, driven by the backloaded August heat index, guys. And what part of that does is include humidity from monsoons. I don't think we're going to see many monsoons. This is aridification, not a drought. Due to building regional humidity from a projected strong monsoon, again, if it does, again, cities may see record high minimum overnight temperatures, which prevents nighttime cooling climate impact. Now, guys, they'll blame it on that when it's actually the 6-mile data center loop of all of the mega data centers themselves. Again, remember, out 6 miles, they could raise the temperature up 102, or by 16 degrees, in the middle of this type of heat. What you're going to see is our Father step in. You're going to see the water go down, the power go down, and the data centers go down. And then what are we looking at? Do you think I say Mad Max scenario lightly? Here's the, let me clear this up just a moment. You're down the interstate. You're pushing a buggy, trying to figure out where to go. You don't really know. Stop, you die. Keep moving east, you may have a chance, right? Here comes a bunch of people that just broke into Walmart's gas station, 3 or 4 truckloads of them, got the guns and everything else, and they're coming to find everything you've got. They're hungry, they're thirsty, they need your fuel if you're in a vehicle. Mad Max. Guys, it doesn't work any other way than this. You already see the crime in the cities when someone just wants to kill somebody for $100 for a meal. This is ultimate survival. It will be nothing like what you think you're going to see, because the human psyche is based on survival in the human flesh. And you will do everything you can to make sure that occurs. Again, you will have no best friends. Your best friends will be the ones hunting you because you may have slipped up and said something about your survival food or your survival water or your backup protection system. And it's a natural human thing that I'm tracking and that you should pay very close attention to, because you know, just looking at things. Let's go back. Let me back up to Katrina. Here we were up without power or water for 2 weeks in the hottest part of the summer. Walmart was having problems. They couldn't check out because of the electricity. And there were fights at even our local Walmart here in central Mississippi. Buggies getting thrown and fights breaking out and everything else. And what's so critical about that is they knew, and we knew, that it was a matter of time, a week or so, we would have the power back on. So that was one mental thought of stability. We can make it through it. It's going to get better. What if there is no getting better? What if the grid has collapsed? What if the heat has gotten too intense? What if the Bible comes true and our Father said, not by water, but by heat, but by fire? Now, guys, the satellites are also picking up this data center heat. And I can't help but think about, we got a mad group here that is rushing and hell-bent on destruction. Burn it all down. Start it over. Let the phoenix rise. It says, beyond the warming air, satellite remote sensing data analyzed by the University of Cambridge shows that data centers raise the physical temperature of the land around them by an average of 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit up to 16.4 in extreme cases. This background heat radiates back into the atmosphere, directly influencing urban heat index calculations. Guys, it makes me just want to say this. Are aliens coming and they want us to damn recalibrate the planet? Terraform it? Or is it just the stupidity of the human beings and the greed that they exist on? We're getting down to the bottom, not just in Lake Mead or Lake Powell, but to the bottom of humanity. And let me end it by saying this. When the grid goes down, civilization will collapse, because the grid is civilization as we know it. As long as you can turn on that air, open that fridge up, get your gas, get your groceries, everything is fine. In a couple of days, when that changes, everything is not fine. That's what you need to focus on, and that's what you need to prepare for. The people that are listening will have a chance. And the way you have a chance is because you prepared so that you can endure. And our Savior, Jesus Christ, said, those that endure to the end shall be kept safe. He doesn't say saved. Read it in Greek. Those that endure to the end. How are you going to do it? Because you prepared. Why? Is it because you didn't want to be one of the people that were told, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge? And if you think some kind of magical cloud's going to come up and lift you up, that's not how this works. That's not at all how it works. Guys, look at the ancient Derinkuyu information. They were given information. They were told how to survive, and they did. Look at what happened to the Hopis in the Southwest. They were told how to survive, and they were led to that point. It wasn't a magic cloud coming to float you away just in time. Then you would be very imperfect, and you would be very uncleansed because you didn't go through the fire like silver. That's how our Father refines us for the next level. He doesn't want a bunch of duds floating around down here, a bunch of dumb humans waiting for the Super Bowl. There's much more to life than that, and it's about to be thrown in our faces. Guys, again, I didn't mean to preach. I was going to give you some weather information, just how the flow goes sometimes. But it doesn't mean one thing. It doesn't mean I don't care about you, because I do. I love every one of you. Our Father loves every one of you, and may He bless every one of you. And if I sound a little radical, so be it. Many in history have been accused of the same thing. But I'm telling you now, you better get ready. Look around you. Are you in the high mountains? In the desert Southwest? What is your water supply? How is your grid situation? Do you have a place you can change as far as your location? We need to make it. Christ said again, 5 months is a very important timeline. 5 months in the ark, New Testament, 5 months. Remember that. Man will be tormented. We got to make it past that month, that time. Christ never said, God never said, I'm going to float you out. Here's what's going to happen. You need to do this, take care of business, take care of yourself and your family. If not, just buy your tickets to the Super Bowl or to the next concert in California, whatever it is, and ignore the warning. And we'll see you as you pass through that interstate pushing that food buggy. Even the billionaires. Because they think they plan. Our Father has different ideas. He says, you can run, but you cannot hide, from the lowest depths to the highest reaches of the heaven. You're not going to hide from this. You can get yourself in a bunker, right? But if you've been on the evil side of this and you've been taking advantage of people like we see some of the very rich mega millionaires doing now, destroying the planet via their data centers, no, they're not going to be able to escape. You and I can, because we're not like that. We're children of our Father. We don't care about taking advantage of other people. We just want to try to make it. And that is the way you understand the human cycle. We got a spiritual cycle coming, but your human cycle has a lot to do with where you end up. Did you take advantage of people with greed? Did you try to help people? You don't think all of this will be opened up in that book? That's what you focus on, not how I can get over. I want you to focus on survival. But the people that are, again, the big money people right now, they think the bunkers are going to help them. They will be trapped. Our Father does not play. He's not playing now. This world needs a reset because of what we see happening. Wars, rumors of wars. People overpopulating the cities for water and power. Guys, you realize in a few days after they shut down the Imperial Valley water from Meade, it's over. So do what you want. But I know a lot of you are going to put this in your plans and try to understand the best way to handle it. And I think the best way, guys, regardless of where you're at, you may not can travel, but can you put up enough water and enough, maybe a couple months of food, and try to let the chaos pass by like a tsunami wave until it starts to settle down and people can reemerge after the conflict and the violence? Because that, you think these people, you see the mentality of Antifa, that will be amplified through every suburb, through every subdivision, because of starvation and feeding your kids and looking for medicine, smashing the windows out of drugstores to get insulin for your diabetic child. You don't think these things are coming? It's time to wake up, guys. I'm watching it. You watch it. May our Father bless and touch every one of you. It's a heads up, guys. Be safe.